First we got train derailments, now we got explosions at manufacturing facilities. What else could go wrong?
Here we go. We continue covering breaking news out of Oakwood after at least 2 explosions at a manufacturing plant there. Incredible images showing cars completely covered in debris from the explosion and the ensuing fire.
Now, that explosion was so powerful that bricks from the building and even some metal beams were thrown across the parking lot. At one point, dark smoke, which accompanied a fire, could be seen from downtown Cleveland, which is about 30 minutes away from Oakwood.
Our video has been unreal. We've had multiple crews on scene since reports of that explosion came around 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Jordan Vandenberg and Catherine Ross arrived on the scene shortly after that fire. Now we start with Catherine with updates from that news conference we brought to you live on News 5 at 5. Catherine.
Yeah, guys, there's still a lot of things that crews out here are figuring out. You can see just how many emergency workers are still out here on the scene at this point. Of course, Oakwood Police and Fire, that's where this all took place. We also saw lots of neighboring agencies out here assisting with this, and even crews from the Ohio EPA and the ATF out here. Now, this all started shortly after 2 o'clock this afternoon. This is at the Schumann and Company Foundry. This is on Alexander Road, not far from I-271. And the fire captain tells us that they heard reports of heavy smoke, fire, debris, and a huge explosion. Now, this turned into a 3-alarm fire. Lots of crews responding. The fire captain does tell us that there were at least 13 people transferred from the scene. Another person had been pulled out, and emergency crews were working on saving that person here on the scene. They do say at least one person is in critical condition. We're still working to find out the conditions and the extent of the injuries on all of those other people. Now, the fire captain tells us that they haven't had other fire calls to this place, but just the way that this place operates, there are inherent dangers at this foundry. This is what he had to say.
Been here several times. It's a very safe place except for the fact that it's a foundry, so you're dealing with molten hot metal, so there's always an inherent danger.
And that molten hot metal, as well as that power of that explosion, blasted away the entire wall on the foundry here and blew a lot of that debris across the street. Now, Jordan Vandenberg is also on scene. He's been talking to people who work nearby, heard that explosion. Jordan, what have they been telling you?
Yeah, many of the witnesses that we've been speaking to today say they heard it and then they most certainly felt it. And it's one thing to say that there was an explosion. It's quite another thing to actually see what the explosion caused. And for that, there's probably no greater indication to see just the power of this explosion than this. It's a solid steel I-beam that is from the structure all the way across the street, a solid football field away. The blast wave, the blast radius just sent debris all over across the roadway, plowing into these businesses. Many of the cars that were parked here in the parking lot, they were also damaged. Some of them are completely totaled. And to really get a good appreciation for just how powerful this explosion was, the debris, you just need to look no further than the debris. That almost looks like a furnace door. Again, this is a solid piece of steel flown all the way across the street and into the parking lot. One of the witnesses that we spoke to is actually eating lunch in one of those parking spaces right over there, the same parking space that he's had for 20 years. And he told us he has never been more thankful to have that spot right there.
It had to be deafening.
It was deafening. Usually, the BFI trucks will run through and you hear the boom, 100 times worse. And then I heard the boom and I just ducked and covered in the car. Then I heard the second one and I heard that beam drop. And I don't know if you see the gouge in the street. Ridiculous. And this beam over here, oh my God. A little nervous wreck. But I finished my pork chop.
Do you realize how lucky you are?
I know. My mother was looking at me. She passed away in November. I think she was looking for me. She was looking at me. Right here. Oh, how do I not get hit? Ridiculous, bud. Ridiculous.
In Mr. Sarconi's 2006 Monte Carlo was unscathed. This truck, however, brand new Dodge Ram, it was not as lucky. See a giant piece of debris completely peeling back that quarter panel. The roof actually got hit as well and caused the roof to cave in, but Also, take a look at this. So this is burned asphalt. This is from a piece of debris that came across the street. That debris was burned on one side, and it was so hot it caused the asphalt itself to get burned. Again, shows you just how powerful this explosion was. Again, more than a dozen injuries. The severity of those injuries, we're still waiting on additional information, but this is a story that we're going to continue to follow in the days and weeks ahead, Rob.